reference to the home as much as I wanted. So I started to pull in a lot of found objects, such as this piece, the drawer, which became the first reference to kind of like the idea of a raft that is also the place where we hide things, where we keep things, try to keep things safe. With this piece, it's a lot of different crates and drawers and such. This one here, essentially, you have this figure that I was thinking about a flood. I was looking at a lot of images of floods and houses that are flooding, and you have all of these parts of the house that are floating around. And in this case, this drawer became the survival raft. And in that instance, she also falls out of the drawer, is starting to sink, and this figure that is trying to save herself is draped over and at the same time pushing her under. And of course, there's the reference here to the Sistine Chapel, the touch. So they're not quite aware. We don't know if she's aware of her presence yet, or if she will become aware of it in time. There's a lot of questions that I have about moral compasses, how our moral compass can become skewed in traumatic situations, and an awareness of others. So that's a lot of what was going on with that piece. And this piece is kind of like the debris of some of that afterthought and just trying to work through some of those ideas. It's actually, I think that this piece is kind of a sketch of things that are happening in the studio right as we speak. And then those are just some fragmented Hummel things. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Can you talk about how you do your modeling, particularly the faces are very powerful, and I'm wondering, what's going on when you're working with an oversized, almost grotesque head?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I do like to play with in playing with the features of the Hummel and the monument and making them more grotesque to show that inner burden. I'm also being pretty cognizant of the idea that I want to hide a lot of the specifics of their age, of their gender, because it's really about the pain. And so in swelling a lot of those features, I noticed that happens naturally. And I really try to let that be probably the most intuitive part of my process, is when it comes down to the faces. And when I'm building these pieces, it's very important to me. Like, a lot of people say, why don't you build these solid and hollow them out? It would be so much easier. Why do you build them hollow? But it's really, really important to me that I can reach inside of these figures and press out to create that swelling. And so when I'm building the face, it's like this constant motion of pressing out the cheeks until I really have that volume that I'm wanting. And so essentially that's, I start off with a pretty basic head shape that's hollow, and I just keep pressing it out until those features come, and then of course add on some other features to it.
So, and what about the hands? Because the hands similarly are very powerful and very present.
Yeah, they're hollow also, actually. I build the hands out of like 2 pinch pots that I'll put together, and so they have a very swollen sort of feel to them. And then the fingers are just, they're coils, but I make sure to make them nice and fat. And there's parts that, like, one thing I'm trying to do is keep these lines between like the familiarity of these characters, but not being able to place them, so they have a bit of an uncanny feeling to them, because you don't know how to place their gender, you don't know how to place their age, you don't know how to place who they are. A lot of people are like, that person is familiar, I'm like, well, I'm referencing a lot of familiar things. Um, but I forgot where I was. Oh, some of the features that become really important to me are the mouths, the fingernails, and little things like that that pull you back into being able to relate to these is actually like real. You know, when you see them, they're kind of cartoony, like old political sort of figures, and then you get up close and it's like they have fingernails and they have creases in their lips, and then these baby doe-like features that are like between jowls and baby cheeks. So it's, yeah.
Process of firing. What kind of? Do you have a huge? Do you have a big kiln?
I unfortunately have been pretty nomadic the last few years, so I have to adjust to my situations. When I was in graduate school, I had a very large kiln that I could fire most of my pieces all in one. But I found that having a smaller kiln actually posed a really smart predicament for me, because I had to figure out how to cleverly make seams. And it makes it easier for transportation to have them in separate sections. So I always build the entire figure as one figure, and then I go back and I'll chop it into different pieces, fire it, and then either put some parts back together or leave some parts as seams. So if you can find the seams in these pieces, let me know.
So in between shows, do these people you're on?